Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss everything to do with the modern market, that is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today, we have Solana announcing at Breakpoint that Firedancer is now live on mainnet after 3 years of development. Glad to have Brett with me to cover that piece of news for us. LiFi announcing a $29 million Series A led by Multicoin, and YouTube announcing that US creators can be paid in PayPal's stablecoin PYUSD. Also got the latest on price action, crypto NFTs, and a general market discussion as usual, so stay tuned for that. Today, I do have Brett with me in the co-host seat. We're almost ready to get into it, but just a reminder before I do that, friends, that nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is extremely risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and do research, exercise some solid judgment before you make any moves in this market. With that out of the way, Brett, it is just the two of us on this Friday. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How is it to be back in your usual spot? How has the week been for you so far?
All the things. The week has been decent. I don't know if you saw my post yesterday, but also the people who are on streaming, I got this thing in the mail. It's a scam. It's a blockchain scam snail mail. It says new blockchain tech launched from the Blocklit
Wait, show it
Foundation.org.
again in the camera. I love the formatting of this. So we have new blockchain tech launch in yellow letters, caps lock,
Very
obviously.
bold, very enticing. And
Yeah.
so you
What else
know
is it
it's
saying?
legit. It says, yes, actually new tech. What's unique about it? Are you curious? Why me? All those kind of things. And then you go to it, and it actually leads to a blockchain that is a notorious scam that I think you could probably guess it in under 5 guesses, but just we're short on time, so I'll just say it's Hex. It's Pulse Chain.
Ah,
It's
don't say that. The hex maxes are gonna come for us in the YouTube comments again when you
bros. You guys can
mention
say
his
is
name.
yeah. Well, they're maybe pump the numbers a little bit, but it goes to a sacrifice of tokens or some shit with Richard Hart. It's ridiculous. I don't know how they got my information, but they got it somehow, and here I am. But other than that, things are good, man. Yeah, it's been a little rainy here recently. I'm coming from Dubai, so it was
Mm.
nice. It was warm. I was in shorts. Then I come back here and it's dark and it's rainy and more Norwegian than my previous setup. But I'm trained in that. So
That's fair. I'm actually wondering. I'm still on this blockchain tech launch thing, which you got. I'm
block
wondering
lit.
if this is targeted, if they're coming specifically for you because you are working with Mega
They
ETH.
have to, right? Like, how the fuck do they know?
Has to be.
Um, Although, I will say I did go to a local blockchain meetup when I first moved here. I was like, yeah, fuck it, let's meet some people in the area, see if there's there's a Solana meetup. They have some Ethereum meetups and shit. I went to it. It's okay. I actually met some people that were, God, it's all scams. They worked for XRP, and they didn't work for XRP, but they like built up the community. They're like, bro, totally know it's a scam, but for whatever reason, the YouTube videos run. So it's like I just make XRP videos continuously because like the appetite is so big. So I just keep doing it, and whatever. It's crazy.
Oxy in the YouTube comments is saying this guy works for Mega ETH, explaining the thought process. I bet we could get him with a mail scam. I don't know.
Makes
Could
sense.
could really be targeted. I also received a
Makes
physical
sense.
yesterday, not a mail scam, but something pretty cool. Don't have it with me
Tell me
to
about
show
it.
it. I'll post it later. You did see it though. I did share it in the group with.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
I went to a satellite event yesterday. Tech Can Save Us by Xcopy, which was happening at the same time. Well, not at the same time. It was happening in New York, in Vienna, and in Melbourne. And there's been Xcopy physicals, hand stamped cards with like some hand drawing, hand signed, even hand folded by Xcopy. I think there's less than 100 of them. Some have posted them on the timeline already, and I was lucky enough to receive one of them, and it is one of the very, very, very few physical things, handmade things by Xcopy, which is pretty crazy. And I'm now getting a nice like glass box frame thingy for that to put that on and then get it up on the wall because it's a pretty cool piece, and I'm pretty happy. And someone's already putting the rarity distribution together to to just see how many have, some basically have sunglasses drawn on, some have like sun rays, etc. And I want to see how this distribution looks like. They're also signed in different colors. I think America got different colors than Europe did. So it's, yeah, I didn't expect that at all. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, it's things are moving, things are shaking. I've never gotten into the actual physicals. But I keep getting I've been on the YouTube rabbit hole where I watch people at card shows trading cards and shit. So like I am like trading cards by proxy, just through pure entertainment.
Yeah. Do you also watch pack pools or just the trading?
I have. Yeah, I have. Like they're pretty professional. So I'll watch, like it's just a good dopamine. It's like I don't it's so funny. And now as I reflect on this, I'm doing everything I used to do as a kid, but I'm just like watching it instead of actually doing it. I don't play video games anymore, but I
Same.
watch people play video games. I don't open card packs or buy cards, but I watch people open cards and buy cards. I'm sure there's some other things. Maybe we'll say like people doing wheelies on bikes or some shit. But like, like yeah, all this nostalgic shit that I'm still finding myself actually doing through short form videos as opposed to actually doing it myself. That's all the time I
Same
have.
with gaming. Like I gotta switch to. I got everything. I really want to get back into gaming. And then what I'm actually doing is I am watching someone playing Baldur's Gate 3 because it's
Mm.
a massive RPG. I would love to play myself, but I can't kind of get myself to actually play it. So I'm also watching, and I feel like obviously there has to be a ton of people doing that because otherwise that whole streaming of
Yeah,
content
of
would not
course.
be such a successful
Of course.
industry.
Hmm.
Um, Talking about watching shorts and YouTube, one more thing that I want to tell you, because we've been speaking about prediction markets so much over the last like weeks and months. So I watched a YouTube short, and so there was a guy, this guy got on a plane and he's giving away AirPods Max to the flight attendants. They're like super happy.
Okay.
Someone is giving up their first class seat for him. Then he offboards the plane, gets into an Uber, gives his Uber driver AirPods as well. And then I'm like, oh, this is such a wholesome short. And then do you know how the short is ending? He pulls out his phone, shows it to his Uber driver, and goes like, "Do you know Kalshi? Kalshi is a prediction market. On Kalshi, you can bet blah 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 in all 50 states. Blah 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 blah." Like, this
Mm,
is a fucking Kalshi ad. I was like, I'm watching some
mm,
generally wholesome content, and it turns out to be a prediction market ad. And the YouTube comments were reflecting of that. They were all saying, "Oh, I thought this is like wholesome giveaway, but turns out it's a gambling ad." So it was
yeah.
not expected to see that video turn into advertising for Kalshi.
You actually remind me. So, like, I don't play major video games, but I have some like phone games that I'll play, right? Some AFK shit. And usually most of those things have like a, bro, you want the power up? Watch this ad. That kind of shit. And you're reminding me, I actually saw a Kalshi ad because of one of those. Like, it was like 3 or 4 days ago. And it was just like, yeah, two people just sitting there on a couch talking like podcasters, like fucking 10-year-olds. Like, yo, man, did you know you could predict the future and do a thing? And yeah, it was all Kalshi shit. Yeah, but so it's kind of surreal to see it pierce my everyday, not every day, but like my gaming off hours stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. I also see it on my Reddit feed all of the time. It is very ubiquitous in terms of advertising. But look, we have a ton of stuff to get into, and we're almost ready to get into the price action. But just before we do that, shout out to our partner Yeet, sponsor of the show today, the crypto casino that has done more than $1 billion in volume, founded by trusted names like Mando KBM and the pro poker player Bin Lam. We are users of the site ourselves, or mainly I am Limbo GCR there doing my thing, farming volume, playing Limbo. And we are giving away $500 towards the end of the show. Just for you to know, Funky, J Miles has done it again. He said, give all of my entries to Funky. So you have additional entries for the day as well. But so as obviously everyone who is on our affiliate board, we'll do that towards the end of the show. Just a quick reminder, only gamble for fun and what you're comfortable with. And as I said, we'll do the giveaway, the $500 towards the end of the show. But now let's get actually started with
Must be nice.
yeah, can't be a bear market to J Mouse.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get started with this very, very volatile price action. So everything is green again. BTC is back up to 92K, up 2.5% on the day. ETH is up 1.5% at 3.2K. BNB is up 2.3%, $885 there. Solana is up way more. Solana is up 6%, back at almost $140, 138.5 to be precise. And Hyperliquid also having a very good day. It is up 9.4%, but still a touch under $30, still at $29.7 for the time being. Taking a look at the meme coin side of things, there we go. Dogecoin, SHIB, Pepe, all up 2.5%. Bonk is up a touch more, up 5%. Pengu up 3, SPX up 3. Just scrolling through the list. Fartcoin is the outlier again, up 12%, back to 39 cents almost. Basically, from scrolling through the things, everything is green. Everything is up a couple percent. Rect is up more than just a couple percent. Rect is up 9%. It's up 42% on the week, doing really well in recovering after that liquidation cascade that had happened, I think, 2 weeks ago or so. And just scrolling through the list to see if anything else stands out. Troll is still around 4 cents, up 35% on the day. But as we said, everything is more or less on the green side for memes as well. Getting into the major headlines, we have Solana announcing at Breakpoint that Firedancer is now live on mainnet after 3 years of development. LiFi announcing a $29 million Series A led by Multicoin. YouTube announcing that US creators can be paid in PayPal's PYUSD stablecoin. In terms of some other notable price action, Talus is up 40% to 235 mil. Sol, we did cover. Terra, we spoke about Terra yesterday when it was up 40 something percent. Terra is now down 21%, and Zcash is up 8% to $452. In terms of some notable sales, we did see multiple MeBit sales in the 5ETH region. However, if we take a look at the major collection, everything else is leading. Pudgies are down another 3%, just a touch above 5ETH, 5.03. Bored Apes down 3.5%, down 14% on the week, sliding under 5ETH at a 4.86 ETH floor to be specific. I think Azukis are also down more. They're down another 5%, down 15 almost on the week to 0.69. This is getting in a price region where I'm honestly, I'm curious once I'm done with the Roundup bread to hear some of your thoughts on that as well. But where I'm just wanting to buy some of the JPEGs again, not so much as a speculative investment, but more for nostalgic reasons. But we'll get into that in a bit. Getting to the Web3 Roundup in the meantime, Superstate is announcing direct issuance programs allowing public companies to raise capital directly from investors via tokenized shares, which I found to be a super interesting piece of news. DTC receiving a no action letter from the SEC to tokenize certain DTC custodied assets. Coinbase, another one to announce prediction markets and tokenized equities next week. That is according to Bloomberg. Then we had the Almanac TGE that did not go very well. They did raise at 90 mil FTV. It's traded at around 35 mil FTV. There's been massive bot dumping apparently going on there as well. DYDX launching spot trading for Solana assets. In terms of some more news, Solstice announcing the TGE for SLX on December 22nd, which is way faster than I expected it to be initially. And last piece of news, Do Kwon, the Terra founder, has been sentenced to 15 years in prison for the $40 billion collapse of Luna. Brett, anything standing out to you, catching your attention from the Roundup or from other parts of the space that you want to speak to?
Okay. There's gonna be a moment of reflection for me because I see the Coinbase news, and I'm gonna invoke Funky on maybe this one. So the original thesis, if we all recall, Coinbase base, all this shit, it's just that like pure network effects, right? They're in the industry, they have their tendrils and fucking everything. Not everything works out in NFT marketplace, LOL, but like they have the default position to basically engulf everything. And they have the distribution to potentially make it work. We have other news coming out of Coinbase recently. One was like the You can now trade all Solana assets natively on or from Coinbase. They obviously just did the bridge from Base to Solana. So like there's a little bit of that going on. And I know over the last, we'll call it 3 months, 6 months, we've become increasingly bearish on Coinbase generally, and like rotated to things like Robinhood, at least myself. So now I see this stuff, and I'm seeing more things coming forward. They're talking about prediction markets. Their base app is actually doing okay, I believe. I don't have access to it, but and maybe it's open. I just haven't actually done it. But they're pushing their base app really well. And I see all of these things, and I go, were we too short-sighted? Right? Like, is this network effect stuff going to continue to play out? Is it like, is it we were right on the thesis, and it's just like we didn't give it enough time to cook, right? And like it's ultimately going to play out exactly how we thought. We just thought that like maybe they were fumbling a little bit at the finish line, but this is just like the lull that took them to like start setting things up. So I say all those things. I'm still wondering what I think about all of this and where I think Coinbase is going, because I've been flipping bearish, and I'm seeing all these things and maybe thinking I should flip back to bullish.
Yeah, very interesting line of thought. Also see Funky with his hand up. One thing before I'll pass to you, Funky, is let's take a quick look at the Coinbase chart. I'm showing that on screen right now. Coinbase is down 2%, another 2% over the last day. It is up 8% year to date. Obviously, did go as high as 400.
Yeah.
$444 and is now trading at 269. That high was in July. So we corrected quite heavily.
I
So
distinctly remember I have options, call options on Coinbase, and I distinctly remember checking my balance at both of that one and the second juncture where like it was surging back up a couple months ago. Was that October? I remember checking in both of those windows and going, I should probably sell here. I did not. I'm still sitting on them. We need to return to glory.
yeah, got a couple more thoughts on that. But Funky, want to hear from you and your thoughts on Coinbase and Coinbase's extension across different verticals.
So I'll just start off with Brett. I'm surprised you didn't sell some of those options. I mean, I don't know how far dated out they are, but be that as it may, I mostly only hold shares. Actually, at this point, only have shares. Bought those shares pretty cheap in the bear. We're talking like $50 average buy price. So like it's still quite a comfy hold. I agreed with Brett early on. Like I was getting more. My main thesis for investing in them was that at one point they custodied a ridiculous amount of people's crypto, and they still do. Like Coinbase custody still, they hold it for the ETFs, which I think in and of itself is probably a reason to hold. But the custody business itself is incredibly competitive. We see other new entrants trying to eat market share away from each other. And I know this just because of all the custody integrations we have with Global Stake, for instance. So I think I'll always have some coin in the portfolio. But what I've been doing this year, especially with volatility being pretty high on the shares, was just writing covered calls against those positions. And occasionally some of those get called away, but it's a great way to generate cash. But I don't think I'll ever sell all of the coin because I feel, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but as an American, I also appreciate that they have always been the first in the fray as a company to fight the SEC and to stand up against the ridiculousness that existed in the previous administration. Now, you could look at the price chart and say, like, this is actually a good entry if you're thinking long term, because even 440, whatever it hit back in July, was really like the IPO price. Because if you go back and look at the chart at the beginning, the IPO was something insane and stupid, like where it was around $400 when it first debuted on the market. So that's why I thought buying it in the bear was just a no-brainer, because it seemed like there was just a tremendous amount of upside to it. So I don't think I'll ever completely divest, but I think that Brett brings some good points that there. I wonder, does that mean you're trying to be all things for everybody? And that can be a problem too, right? So something to think about.
Yeah, that's a very good perspective, and obviously you had a beautiful entry price in that $50 region. It did not go much lower than that. I think the lowest it went was around $32, but that was only for a very brief period of time. And I think that everyone is now trying to compete for this all-in-one trading app. And Brett rightly mentioned Coinbase's NFT marketplace, and arguably they were quite late to do the NFT marketplace and NFTs as a hype died down pretty quickly after that. But I feel like that with that offering that is also including tokenized stocks, they are way faster to bring that to the market than they've been with the NFTs in the NFT cycle. Because if you look at the data, and that's coming from RWA.xyz, the global trading volume of tokenized equities has surged to 32% in the past month. That is true, but it's only done 1.45 bill in transfer volume. And now that we have on the backdrop of this, the Paul Atkins, SEC chair, saying, all US markets will move on chain over the next couple of years. And you obviously also have Hyperliquid, the trade XYZs, Hello Trade, all the other brokers, Robinhood, they're on trying to basically get that piece and part of the market share and get tokenized equities going. I feel like that Coinbase is like pretty early to that. They might be a bit later with the prediction market side of things. I think it's still going to be like an incredibly hard challenge to be the one-stop shop for all financial stuff, because I just don't think that everyone wants to do everything at the same time. Not everyone wants to be a prediction market user. Not everyone who trades crypto wants to trade equities as well. So I do think it's good to have that product offering. It's almost a requirement to have it. If all of your competitors are doing it, you probably can't ignore that. But I just don't think that this one-stop shop mission is the most achievable one. It's like probably one of the hardest things to compete in. Brett, want to go back to you to see if you have any further thoughts on that, and then I see Oxy with his hand up as well.
I think you guys covered it well. It's just something for me to take note of, seeing the progression, and it's like I want to, like, this stuff is not going to move quickly, right? Like, we've gone from bearish to bullish over the course of 3 months. I want to take the mental note here and see if they can execute on a few things, and then see if I can ultimately flip back to bullish. So just it's a data point for me.
Yeah, fair enough. English was in the YouTube comments jokingly saying, Funky always telling us how things are undervalued when he's up 5x, LOL. How do you sleep at night? Oxy,
yeah,
what
on that, he said I should have sold my options. I bought those 3 years ago, 3 years ago. So like their call is for $70
gotcha.
Coinbase. So it's like, dude, I've been in the green for a very long time.
That's a very nice call price. Oxy, curious to hear your thoughts on our discussion so far.
Yeah, thanks. So I don't know, maybe a little bit of a counterpoint to like this being super bullish for Coinbase for me. Obviously, outside of the thought that everything, like all stocks are going to be on chain, if I think about the user base of Coinbase, it's typically Americans. Like I know like zero out like Americans that use people outside of US that use Coinbase. So I guess my thought is like, okay, no one outside the US is using Coinbase. People in the US can buy stocks very easily on Robinhood. Like why would they use Coinbase to buy a synthetic stock that they can't redeem for real stocks? At least that's my understanding right now, is that if you buy Coinbase, a tokenized stock on Coinbase, you can't redeem it for real shares, at least in the current capacity. So like I just find it hard to believe, or hard to see the volume of like people coming onto Coinbase to specifically buy tokenized shares when they're better off buying on Robinhood or somewhere, Fidelity or somewhere else that might be a lot easier than that. Now, long term, everything comes on chain. All stocks are tokenized. Coinbase, rolls with the punches, or rolls with the regulatory framework where you can redeem them for real shares, and or they are real shares. Then that's obviously a little bit more of a bull case for me. But short term, I'm just kind of finding like losing. Like, where's the volume going to come from, I guess, is my thought.
Yeah, that's a fair point, I think. On the other hand,
I'm back to bearish.
On the other hand, you can still make the point it's just convenient to stay within a single app. But ultimately, if it is like pretty easy to off-ramp your funds and then onboard to Robinhood or whatever broker you're using, then that's probably not the biggest obstacle in that user experience or in that user journey. Whereas if you are having your money, if you're having your capital on chain and you need to off ramp that, go through KYC, AML hoops, go through taxes and all of the other things, and then only be able to basically on ramp to a broker, I would understand how people might not want to do that. But again, I think it's just such a popular product. Both are prediction market as well as tokenized equities that you just simply cannot afford to ignore it. And I know it from Bitpanda, which is biggest exchange in the German speaking region, Austrian exchange originally. They did introduce tokenized shares and commodities pretty early, and that after some time, if you just extending your asset universe, like some people are, very happy to jump on that and trade that as well. And it's probably not the most expensive integration to do, relatively speaking. If it gets you that additional trading volume going and you're making fees of that, it's probably worthwhile. But I think that I side with Funky when it comes to the custody side of things, that is probably the thing that I would be more interested in, and just think that this is more bullish, or could be more bullish from Coinbase than just equities or prediction market integration, because literally everyone is doing that. So that is nothing that is, in my opinion, a USP at the moment. Brett, any closing thoughts, or shall we move to the first headline?
Let's roll, baby.
Alrighty, first headline is yours. Firedancer is live after 3 years of development. What does it mean? What do we need to know on that?
Ooh, fast and furious. Okay, so we actually talked about this on Wednesday. So first of all, context on what the hell Firedancer is. If you're not in the Solana ecosystem, Firedancer is an alternative client that was created by Jump Crypto, and it was basically said like, hey, when this thing comes live, Solana will be uber duper super mega performant, right? Because like this version of Solana is written all in Rust, or from the rewritten from the ground up to be optimized entirely in Rust, I think is what it was. Anyways, it's been in development or been a bull case for Solana for literally 3 years now, right? Like that we were talking about it back in the ordinals days of like, you guys don't know what's coming because it's going to switch over. So that's what it is. It's just a new version of Solana client. Agave is the dominant one now. That is bigger, faster, more performant. They did a test of like 1 million TPS with 100 geographically distributed nodes at last year's breakpoint. And this time it's actually live now. Now, cool. What does that mean? Will it actually get implemented? Does this mean Solana is the biggest, fastest, baddest that it'll ever be? No, it does not. Because the way that this stuff works is now all of the validators that make up the Solana network, there's something like 950 right now. It's actually been declining pretty rapidly. Not, I wouldn't say rapidly, but it's been declining year over year, upwards from like, I think it's like 1,300 and 2,500. Now it's down like 900 because it's just not profitable to run a Solana validator. The hardware costs, the stake costs are just too high based on the amount of fees that you actually generated. So like the validator set's getting smaller. You have to have these machines that are running the network. The operators have to go, it makes sense for me to now switch from my current software, which is Agave, to running this new software, which is Firedancer. And I actually did a tweet today, just like see what the actual distribution is. And Solana, our Firedancer makes up 0.9% of all validators building blocks. So for every single, like Solana is a leader-based system. So it says the way that it works is it says we pick one person, this one machine, and we say this person is going to build blocks for the next, I think it's like 400 milliseconds times 4. So is that 1.6 seconds? So for the next 1.6 seconds, this person gets to build blocks. And then it rotates to another random one, and then another random one, then another random one. And it continuously does that. If the Solana client or the Firedancer client only makes up 0.9% of the network right now, that means for every one of these slots, it'll keep going and keep going and keep going until it randomly hits 0.9% of the total network that is a Solana, or I keep saying Solana, Firedancer client. And then for that one slot, it's running this super highly optimized software, and it's all nice and cool. So that is just to say, until it gains a meaningful share of the network, the chances that it randomly finds a machine that is actually running this client is frankly very, very low. And if one thing is true in the that we've observed in this industry, is that it takes very long time for a lot of these people, even if it is like the incentives are in their favor, they usually don't switch over very quickly. So the time it will take for them to meaningfully switch from old client to new client is probably pretty low. Now, that said, that the Agave, which is the current leading client, which is actually originally created by the Solana Foundation then spun off to be its own separate business. And that's where Max Resnick, if you guys are familiar with him, he went to join the Agave team. They've actually been threatening that they can actually like speed up Agave to catch up, close the gap on Firedancer. So frankly, that like stake switching may not be necessary. And this is the team that also created the Alpenglow, which is the new consensus mechanism that everyone is touting, which is actually pretty performant and everyone's really excited about. So that is all to say, like, you're not going to notice any immediate impact for this. This is actually the entire reason why Fogo, which is the chain that is doing the ICO this week, next week. It's the entire reason they were spun up, because that team, and this is done by the Jump team as well, they saw that, hey, it doesn't even matter whenever we ship this thing, because once we ship it, it's going to take so long for the network to actually switch over to this client that it is frankly moot that we're creating it. So we are just going to create a net new network that is strictly restricted to this client, and then we are opinionated on that, and then we are forcing it to be very performant because of that reason. So yeah, that's the TLDR of it. I'm excited to see it. I'm going to be monitoring. I found some cool dashboards that I will continue to watch. It's good for data porn. But I would not expect anyone to actually see any benefits from this for the foreseeable future.
Gotcha. This is a super, super helpful and fantastic breakdown. So thank you for that. What is the main reason not wanting to switch over to Firedancer, and what could be done to incentivize validators to want to switch over?
One, it's net new thing, so it's risky, right? It's untested. People are going to want it to just like build up, like, because like whenever chains halt, and historically whenever Solana went down, it's because an issue was found in the Agave client, right? All these machines that make up the network do the same thing in the same way because it's all the same code. And whenever an issue comes up, they all fucking halt, because it's the same issue that would apply to all softwares, because that's how it works. The benefit of this, what they're getting now with 2 clients, is that like, oh, sick. Now say it's the client or the distribution is 50-50. If something comes up with a certain transaction and for whatever reason it bricks Agave or it bricks Firedancer, 50% of the network is still up and running, and you can continue to propagate blocks and like continue to push things forward. But until Firedancer shows that it is resilient enough, you're probably just not going to get a lot of trust. And I don't know. I don't anticipate that they're like the hardware requirements are any different. Actually, I'm certain of it. So it's mostly just a laziness thing and a trust thing, and that's just going to take a long time. Now, the one way to actually get these guys to start making more money is through 00, which is something we covered recently that Austin Spadero is spinning up. That's the fiber optics optimized routes that you can actually do between these validators. But that's like a secondary thing, and that wouldn't apply to either specific client unless he's working closer with one that it's actually more synergistic. But yeah, that TLDR is like, it's laziness that's going to stop people more than anything.
Gotcha. And purely speculative on your side, if Agave is saying that they can like somewhat bridge the chasm and close on in the performance gap, is that something that could happen within a reasonably fast time frame, or do you think that this would also take way longer?
They've been pushing pretty aggressively, and the fact that they're doing stuff like the Alpenglow consensus update shows that they're actually pushing pretty hard. And again, Max Resnick coming over from Special Mech over on Ethereum and like hyper optimizing over there, they're both posting pretty quickly. I would say no, I wouldn't hang my hat on it that they're going to close the gap too quickly. I think all this stuff just frankly takes a lot of time. And the question that I have now is the Alpenglow thing. Like all of these changes that Agave has been doing to the client to optimize has been slowing down the pace at which Firedancer can even come live, because they have to be in sync, right? Like the two things have to be one-to-one, just with different code, right? With different like ways of implementing the exact same logic. So every time Agave would change something, which was the canonical thing, it's got 85% of the stake or whatever it is. Every time they would change something, now Firedancer, which has been trying to rewrite everything from the ground up, has to go back and change their code to match Agave, because it has to be in sync. They have to be one-to-one. And stuff like Alpenglow coming forward, which totally rips out the consensus client and says like, you have to now do it this way, extends the time it took for Firedancer to come live. And now I'm wondering, because now there are 2 clients that they're going to try to like jostle between or balance is this slowing down the Alpenglow implementation, which everyone was excited about and they were hoping it would come quickly. Does this now make it so that it's not going to come live until until Firedancer team can actually implement the client for the consensus update on their side? So it may actually slow down everything. Is guess what I'm saying.
Gotcha. This is super, super interesting to hear because I had no idea about this, like technical details and all these relationships. Maybe abstracting a bit away from the technical side, how are you currently like feeling about Solana, your outlook for Solana? We talked basically Solana from all the different aspects on the show. We talked Solana DeFi often being undervalued, underrated. We talked about the whole DATS and potential ETF aspect. Now we are covering the technical side and the upgrades on that. And again, it's like, what is your current, holistic look at Solana?
It's hard to deny the things that they are doing right. You see this Solana breakpoint stuff and all the updates that come out of that. The conference, like outside of the context of the conference, the substance of the conference, the actual execution of the conferences year over year is, I think, pretty bullish for us as an industry. They do it really well. Everyone gets excited. They go. It's a special cohort of people that are really fucking excited to be building on Solana and furthering Solana. You have people like the Galaxy team that are over there shouting and hooting and hollering that all exchange or all equities will be traded on Solana, that sort of thing. Now, whether it can ultimately do it technically, I think many chains will win still just because the pie is so big to grow. But I do think Solana is aiming in the right direction of capturing the lion's share of this. I don't know. It's like it's a special type of person that builds on Solana. Frankly, like they're performance forward, they're execution focused. They're, I think they'll continue to do well. So like I remain bullish on Solana as a thesis.
I think one thing that you can't deny, and you spoke to that, is how they're executing on this cultural event side of things as well. Just looking at Breakpoint and seeing like how many serious and sizable Solana projects are happy to make meaningful announcements at the conference. Like we had the Roundup today, Solstice announcing their public sale on December 22nd, announcing that during Breakpoint, other teams doing the same. That is honestly not something that you would typically see a large, sizable protocol do, that they hold an important announcement and wait for DevConnect to wait for any ETH-centric conference to announce that they're not, when it's something consumer-facing. And Solana is definitely doing very, very well on that end. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's like they reflect the ethos of each chain pretty accurately, right? Solana has, I think they do Breakpoint twice a year, right? They pair it up closely with Singapore, or not Singapore, with Token 24/9, I think. But I think they do two breakpoints a year. It's run by the Solana Foundation, or at least was. I don't know if it broke out to do its own thing. And everyone builds up to these like singular events, whereas Ethereum has like 1,000 events that are spread out across 1,000 things, right? It's ETH Denver, it's ETH Prague, it's it's consensus, it's like it's all over the fucking place, right? There's no like big thing that is like super branded as Ethereum. It's just like a bunch of these distributed events. So I would say that actually reflects the ecosystem and the ethos pretty closely as well.
Yeah, that is a very, very fair point. And I also think that is everything we have to say on the Solana side of things for the moment. So let's keep it moving and get into the second headline. This is coming from LiFi Protocol. They are excited to announce a $29 million Series A extension funded by Multicoin and CoinFund, bringing the total capital raised to 52 mil. Their claim to fame is building the universal market for digital assets. Just to have some more details on that raise, LiFi will utilize that fresh capital to support new product development, including the development of tools for AI agents and stablecoins. Protocol did launch 4 years ago as a liquidity layer, bridge, and protocol intermediary. They have now done more than $60 billion in lifetime transaction value. As we said, raised a total of 52 mil now. And it is actually a German company. And I think the maybe less well-known part when it comes to LiFi is that it is very, very strongly focusing on B2B integrations when it comes to the swapping, when it comes to the bridging toolkits, that you have wallets like MetaMask, like Phantom, but also trading venues like Binance and Robinhood, who are relying on LiFi tech to facilitate swaps and bridging, and not so much necessarily on the consumer facing side of things. So that is probably why they're not the most well known when it comes to the whole ecosystem of swapping and bridging around different blockchains. So I thought this was interesting to point out as well, and to maybe also have that in perspective, or put in perspective to the other raises that we have seen from more of the quote unquote traditional consumer first facing DeFi protocols. Very curious to hear your initial thoughts on that, Brad.
Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on LiFi. We're going to use them for our implementation. So whenever you guys have the official Mega E front end come live and doing some swaps and onboarding and stuff, we're going to use them just because, yeah, they trust, or they do a lot of back end. I'm actually fairly certain the Project X uses them as well, right? Like Project X as a team is mostly just curating the front end, and they plug into LiFi on the back end, and LiFi goes and does all the complex multi-chain shit that they talk about here in the article. So yeah, I think they're a strong team. I met them personally. They're really cool. And I think it would be good. I think there's no way for us to get exposure to it. So it's just like good note for the industry. Until there's a LiFi token, there's nothing we can really execute on.
Yeah, that is exactly the point. We can't really get a ton of exposure to that. I think just by the nature of it, that most of us have used LiFi tech in the background already. And just if you keep in mind how much volume they did, even if there ever were to be a volume-based airdrop, it is very, very hard to keep up with that 60 billion lifetime transaction volume. Oxy, see you with your hand up. So curious to get you into the LiFi discussion as well.
Yeah, just kind of really quick. I know we've been talking a lot about ICOs and like investing your money smartly, because everyone's trying to get your money. I have no exposure to LiFi. Like I just know the product and the tech behind it, and infrastructure plays like this, I think, are like exactly what you should be wanting to get your exposure to. Like LiFi as a bridge and aggregator, a backend infrastructure like swap protocol is like, it's paramount to the industry, to where like no one really knows what, like a lot of people don't know what it is, but it's going to be facilitating so many long-term crypto transactions and protocols down the line, that this is like exactly a company that, me personally, I would love to get exposure to, just because it's so integral to the infrastructure of the entire industry ecosystem. So like when BCheck and this is just me talking, like when I'm thinking about what BCheck and the team guys are saying about be careful with your money, or do your research and find the product that makes sense to invest in, this is something that I would look at and be like, dude, I wish I could get exposure to this, because of how integral it is to just crypto and blockchain in general. So I think this is great. I think they're like a great player to be building out this industry, and this raise, I mean, I think it makes sense. I'm curious what the valuation will be, or if we'll ever be able to know that. I know we have the raise amount, but I don't know what the valuation is. I'd be curious to hear what that is.
Yeah, we'll probably learn that at some point in the future, but absolutely agree with your take. And I think the only other thing that I wanted to point out before we have to move on to the next piece of news is looking forward, what Philip Zentner from LiFi, the founder and CEO, has been posting is some of the things that they will focus on from next year on. And one of them is an intent and solver marketplace in Q1 2026, which I like very much to see this coming, because intent-based transactions are something that I find very, very fascinating. And obviously it's just building into that whole product suite very, very well. But look, with that being said, we have 10 minutes left in the show. We have one more headline to cover. And after that, we'll also have a couple more minutes left to dive into, or get into the Yeet giveaway to see who will take home $500 this weekend. But as I said, before we do that, let's get to the last headline for the day, last headline for the week. It is to do with YouTube enabling PYUSD stablecoin payments for US creators. At the same time, the PYUSD PayPal stablecoin did hit a $3.9 billion market cap, majority of that being held on ETH and Solana. So the news here is that YouTube now allows US content creators to receive payments in PayPal's stablecoin, as I just said. Both PayPal as well as YouTube have confirmed that this integration is already live for US creators specifically. It's building on PayPal's third quarter 2025 platform upgrade, which did enable recipients to accept PYUSD payments, and YouTube has adopted that option. What I find very interesting as a part of that is that we talked about PYUSD pretty early on, and I remember that there's been incentivized farming going on Solana. You could earn very nice yield by just holding PYUSD or lending that, having some bonus yield coming out for that. And if we look at it's coming via DeFi Llama at the market cap for PYUSD, the stablecoin, start of the year that was as low as like 500 mil, did slowly climb, very slowly climb over the first 9-10 months of the year, where it did cross $1 billion. But now with these integrations and also with the integration within PayPal itself, managed to climb to $4 billion in market cap. Obviously still relatively small if you compare that to the market cap of either Tether or Circle, but definitely a nice growth vertical for PayPal to obviously integrate that natively into their own app, but also have partners like YouTube in the Google/Alphabet ecosystem where they can push that. And what I honestly like even more as a part of that news is just the simple fact that it's been well received by creators in the US. It's just another way how they will get to have some sort of stablecoin blockchain adoption, and hopefully then also have a more positive look and view on our industry, which typically is something that by the general public, by creators, is viewed under more a critical light. So that is also one of the reasons why I really like to see this integration come to life. Brett, passing it on to you. Any thoughts on that article?
No, nothing crazy for me. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like it's just another day in crypto, at least on my side. But I want to track down and see where these things are actually like where the underlying is being derived from. I don't know, like, so it's PYUSD, and I think about the secondary outcomes of Hyperliquid because PayPal was going to pair with USDH and they were like really working to get that proposal in. Would they ultimately have done USDH here, like the Hyperliquid stablecoin, if they went forward with that actual proposal? Because I know they were pushing hard and saying that they were going to put them into, I forget what application it was on the front end. Maybe it was just PayPal, but they're going to try to distribute USDH all across everywhere. And seeing something like this makes you think of like, yeah, like PayPal has some pretty big distribution and they could have actually really pushed Hyperliquid stablecoin into some eyes had they been accepted.
Yeah, that is very true. I think YouTube has what 2.7 billion, I would say 2.7 billion monthly active users. Obviously, that's not creators, all of them. The minority of that is creators, but still, it's an incredible distribution network to have at hand. And even if you have then some of the bigger creators who are then more positively looking at blockchain or whatever, that could be quite helpful to change that like public sentiment. And I think it's pretty cool that we've gotten to a point in the space where, I can read out an article like that, summarize the news like that, and your comment is like, yeah, that's just another day in crypto. Did get quite far with that.
It's another day in stablecoins, I guess, is like we're starting to see the proliferation so high that it's just like, yeah, we're like, what was it? We had the same kind of feeling. It was probably 2 weeks ago when like Pudgy Penguins partners with the NHL. Like, okay, yeah, it's just like another day. Like, cool to see them do this again. It's just like a sub headline. This is similar, right? It's because we've had these big players. Spotify's obviously, or not Spotify. Shopify has been talking about stable coins, doing some stuff on the back end. Yeah, it's cool to see. It's just what's the we're expecting stablecoin adoption to get up to like, was it $10 trillion by 2030 was
That's
the
exactly, you're reading my mind, the question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
300 billion right now. Scott Bessent, the US Treasury Secretary, said 3 trillion by 2030. So basically we have 4
It'll take
years
stuff like
left
this.
for 10x. Do you think that's realistic?
How long? So it's by 2030, so we have another
So
5
4 more
years.
years? Yeah.
I do, just because like you have to accept that globalization is going to be a continued trend, right? Like the walls between each individual country are continuing to come down, mostly through the internet being proliferated in crazy amounts, right? So we all have access to each other, we all see all this other shit, and we're now realizing that like most of the infrastructure is frankly just not built to allow for us to interact with each other in the ways that we are craving, and that is instantly, right? Like we want time to compress for basically everything, whether it's a video or the wait time for your money transfer to settle, right? So we are now rolling through each individual thing and knocking down the times and compressing them to basically zero. And frankly, you're not going to be able to do that with sending money amongst each other unless you use stablecoins. Like it's just straight up, the old system cannot facilitate it, and it's going to be frustrating for people, and people are going to continue to go around it. So as old people die, and the ways that they know how to give money to each other can die with them, younger generation is going to use more digitally native ways to send money. And I actually just talked to someone on a call yesterday, M-Team. I don't know if you guys know him. He's building Spire. He's just a young kid in the Ethereum ecosystem. Dude's fucking 18 and he's already running a company, right? He got into it because he got into crypto specifically because even though he's a US citizen and he has access to all these financial things, but he was under 18 whenever he got into crypto. And because of that, he couldn't access money anywhere. So he couldn't, like, even though his life had him on the internet doing a bunch of stuff on forums, trying to buy subscriptions, trying to fuck around with the internet, because he was in the US and under 18, he had no access to credit cards. He had no access to banks. He had no access to anything. So he was forced to then actually access money through crypto. And through that, he was able to send money instantly all over the place. Now, that's a unique scenario for a US citizen, because once you're above 18, yeah, it's pretty easy to like operate on the internet. But that experience is pretty universal in lesser advantaged countries. And it is all just a forcing function to get more people to interact with crypto. It is just the better vehicle to have ownership and ability to like transfer funds instantly across the board, like across the world. And like that's just it's just better. It's straight up better, and it'll continue to be better. So yeah, I have no doubts that it'll actually meet and exceed 10 trillion at some point.
Love that. Very, very beautiful take. Love the generational aspect as well. Ultimately, can connect that straight with to the Binance Junior news, which we covered, where there will be a product for, what was it, 6 to 9, 10, whatever year old kids as well. Because, you know, if you get used to this form of payment and you do that from a young age on, it's probably the one that will stick with you. Funky, wrap up this discussion for us, and then we'll move on to the Yeet giveaway.
Super quick, because Brett basically nailed everything, but at the Blockchain Association Policy Summit, this was still a big talking point, and there were some great examples on some of the panels, especially with Senator Bernie Moreno, just showing how completely inefficient these older rails are. And I think, and I've brought this up on the show, I think as AI continues to accelerate, which are they going to choose? AI agents are going to do everything on chain, right? And it's just so seamless. I would go so far as to say it's going to be bigger and it'll be faster than 2030 and more than 10 trillion.
We'll have to check another time if there's a poly market on that. That would probably something where I also would put my money on to see that coming before 2030. But with that being said, let's move to the last part of the show for the week, to our Friday Yeet giveaway. As per usual, we're giving away $500 to someone who has signed up under our affiliate link and has placed a bet in the last 7 days on Yeet. Taking a look at that leaderboard, we can see Funky in the top position, once again doing his 50K of volume on the dollar. J Miles technically in the second spot with 15K volume, forwarding all of his entries to Funky. What a legendary move to do that is. Atari got in the third spot with almost 10K in volume. Then we have a total of 14 entrants this week, who cumulatively have done $78,000 in volume. So with that being said, let's head over to the Wheel of Names and see who is winning $500 this week. Wheel is spinning, and this looks like funky this time. It will move over. No, it barely. It's a millimeter off from moving over, but the win goes to Chaos. Congrats, Chaos. We will sort out the win for you. There's nothing that you need to do on your end, and we'll get the $500 to you before the weekend is over. That brings us to a close for the week for this show. Brad, thank you so much for co-hosting with me. Funky Oxy, thank you so much for jumping on stage with us, participating in the discussion. Thanks to everyone in the audience listening to the show today. We will, as usual, upload this episode to Apple Music, to Spotify. We'll have YouTube clips, TikTok clips going out, and we will be back same time, same place on Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube and on X. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend and see you on Monday.